Okay, so this weekend I'm planning to cover one of the important topic from operations aspect, which is monitoring, right? So nowadays, like when you are part of a DevOps engineering team, or if you're part of a platform reliability engineering team, one of the important expectation is to have a better monitoring solution. Either it is a performance monitoring or health monitoring or availability monitoring. So we have to ensure that our systems are being monitored at all different aspects, and whatever different metrics that can be configured, we generally go and configure them. Now when it comes to monitoring, okay, so even some of the organization, they use the term observability. So observability is like what we can observe from the system, okay, from either when it comes to the latency or the performance utilization. So whatever different aspects we can observe from the system is what we generally call it as observability. So for a site reliability engineer, for a DevOps engineer, observability or monitoring is a very important element. Now, monitoring how the cloud resources are performing is definitely very, very crucial for building a reliable cloud application. So monitoring is one of the very important aspect. Okay, so it is very crucial to build and maintain a reliable cloud application. So from Microsoft Azure, okay, we have an end-to-end monitoring tool, okay, which is a very unified tool and a centralized tool. Okay, earlier we used to have a lot of different versions. Now, what Microsoft has done is they have brought everything into one single term called Azure Monitor. So earlier we used to have something called Systems Advisor. We used to have Operations Insights, and we used to have Operations Management Suite, and then we used to have um, a monitoring tool called Operations Manager, Microsoft Operations Manager MOM, and then it got changed to Systems Center Operations Manager, which is still there. Okay, so System Center Operation Manager is the tool that we generally use for monitoring in the data center on the premises. In our own data center, when we have multiple Microsoft workload, generally we use System Center Operations Manager. But in the cloud, we have a tool called Azure Monitor, which can monitor both on premises as well as your cloud application. So monitors end to end, both on-prem and multi-cloud or hybrid cloud environment. Now, this Azure monitoring solution, since it is an end-to-end solution, generally when it comes to monitoring, there are only few aspects which we need to monitor or observe. So we call it as performance monitoring. We generally monitor what kind of utilization we have in terms of CPU, memory, disk, and so on. And then we also have, just a second, we also have some. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we also have performance monitoring. Plus, we generally monitor the health of the system or application. We also have availability monitoring. We have availability monitoring, and we also monitor the uptime of the system, SLA monitoring. So these are the four important aspects of any application or infrastructure. Okay, so performance monitoring, health monitoring. So when we say performance, health, availability, uptime, so these are the very important element that defines your SLA in terms of monitoring for the customer application and the infrastructure. So now when it comes to performance, we get to understand whether the system is being utilized at the optimal level, whether there is some increase in utilization on the CPU, memory, or the utilization, or whether the performance is degraded on the system. Are there any ongoing issues? When we say health, so we generally talk about uptime or up or down, whether the service is online, whether the service is up, down. And then availability is more from the accessibility aspect. So even if one of the system is down, if we have high availability, then the system is still accessible from the other node. So generally we calculate SLA based on the availability of the system. If you have a clustered application, even if one system is going down, if the application is still accessible irrespective of the performance or the speed, if the system is available, then it is considered available. So uptime is generally calculated using the SLA of the entire application. If you have a multi-clustered application or multi-layered application, if all the layers are available, or if one of the system is available, and if the end user is able to do what they are planning to do, then your system is still available. So generally, when it comes to monitoring, we look at performance, health, and availability of the system. So these three elements contribute towards any monitoring solution. Now, the monitoring is what? We are collecting all this information and we are analyzing all these data. So monitoring is act of collecting and measuring or analyzing the three elements which I have mentioned there. Okay, that is what we generally call it as monitoring. In Azure, we have multiple source where we need to collect the information or the data from. So the sources can be generally your Azure resources. It can be your virtual machines or storage or your network and so on. And then we also have the operating system level event viewer or performance monitor or different information that comes from each of your operating system from Linux top command or whatever. And at the application layer, you also have database layer, which can be on the same Azure platform, or it can be outside of Azure like Oracle, or you can have your databases on your premises and so on. Now we also have a monitoring at the Microsoft subscription level, whether any ongoing issues at the subscription level or Azure AD tenant level. So these are the primary grouping from where we generally collect the data on Azure Monitor tool. So Azure Monitor tool generally gets the data coming from all the Azure resources. It can be app services or it can be your storage, network, and then from within the operating system application layer and different thing. And in some organization we might also have to configure custom sources where currently they might be using different tools for performance monitoring, and here we can also configure custom sources. So when it comes to performance monitoring, generally we can split the monitoring into infrastructure performance monitoring and application performance monitoring. See, most of the tools that we are having in the market, like for infrastructure, even your inbuilt tools within your operating system or along with your hardware, server hardware or storage hardware, they provide you monitoring tools which can monitor the infrastructure performance, be it at the CPU level or memory level or disk input, output, disk IO or network write, read, and all those stuff. It can be monitored with your native tools that comes along with your server hardware or storage or operating system and so on. But generally, we go for third-party tools for application performance monitoring. So mostly we have New Relic or Dynatrace or many hundreds of tools are there in the market which does the application performance monitoring from end user aspect. How much time it takes to load a page, how much time it takes for one application to connect to database. So those level of tracing or connection speed, those HTTP related errors or application specific performance monitoring, there are hundreds of tools in the market, and many customers they use tools like Dynatrace, New Relic, and so on. But it depends on organization choice, because different organization might have their programs developed using different programming languages, and different programming languages might be better, can be better monitored using different tools. So when we go and find out a tool, before that we need to understand what is the different application programming languages we have in our organization, and what are the different complexity we have, and based on which we can go and pick up the tool. So you cannot blindly go and say Dynatrace is 100% fit for everything. It cannot be the case. Okay, so there are certain organization, third party organization, that can provide better performance monitoring tool for your Java related application, and Microsoft can provide .NET related application performance monitoring tool. So it depends on what are the different programming languages and framework that the organization is using for their application, and you can go and choose it. See, but for now, we are primarily concerned about your Azure Monitor tool, which can help you to monitor the infrastructure on Azure platform and the services that we are consuming from the Azure side. That is what our primary focus point for today. Okay, so these are the different sources where the Azure Monitor will get the information, and it combines them together, and you can use it for analyzing and coming up with a quick result. When it comes to monitoring, there are three fundamental units towards monitoring. Okay, so monitoring fundamental units. Okay, there are three fundamental units towards monitoring. I'll explain it on a very high level. We will go into one by one shortly. Okay, the very first one we call it as metrics. Okay, so metrics, generally most of the monitoring tool comes with default metrics, and if in case some application or some infrastructure related aspects are not monitored, we can also go and write our own metrics. And there are the recent days, there are a lot of containerized application and microservices application where tracing is becoming a very common requirement. But for last 20 to 30 years, most of the monitoring tool generally focuses on metrics and log. Recently, after the containerization modernization has come in, we are starting to focus on the tracing and the application to application communication or microservice to microservices related efficiency testing and so on. So when it comes to metrics, it's a kind of time series database. So time series database, if I want to make you understand that easily, if you go to your task manager, okay, so or performance monitor or your top command in your Linux, okay, you have a time bound series. Like at this particular point of time, we have this much of utilization. So this is the time series database that I'm talking about. So at this point of time, we have this much utilization, and at around 560 or like what, sorry, at around 6 o'clock, we have this much of utilization. So it is a time series database. At this particular point of time, we have this much of utilization and so on, and this keeps moving, and this is real-time data. And whatever tools that we generally use are task manager, your performance monitor, your network monitor, netmon, or even your top command in Linux. See, these are all something which provides you current real-time data. So these are all near real-time data which we are looking at right now on what is happening on the system at the infrastructure level, or even at the which are the processes, application, or services that are consuming all these CPU, memory, and other resources. So if you look at here, there is nothing in a text format. It's all numerical values: how many processes, threads, and how much socket we are having, how much logical processes we are having consuming, and what is the cache. So in every single aspect, we are just seeing only the numerical value here. There is nothing in detailed text. So this is all numerical value, and when the data is getting accumulated in a numerical format, it's all numerical values and numerical data. It's always lightweight. Okay, there is nothing much to deal here. So it's all lightweight data. Lightweight data. Data size will be very, very small, and we have very less consumption. Okay, so metrics, it's near-term data, and we look at what is happening in the environment as of now using the Metrics Explorer in Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor has a sub tool called Metrics Explorer, through which you can go and visualize on what is happening for each of your resources from a metric standpoint. If you ask me what are the examples of metrics, so these are all general examples where you have your CPU utilization, memory utilization, and then you have your just a second. So you have your data reads, disk write, network in out. So these are all some examples of metrics. About success or failure or CPU utilization, memory, and so on. So these are all you can consider these are all as metrics. Okay, so when it comes to log, I'll explain little more details. Okay, so there are a lot of other aspects which we need to understand, but to start with, I'm just trying to differentiate what are these fundamental components involved in monitoring. So when it comes to log, see, certain tools have event viewer, and we have war log in your Linux. So these are all generating a lot of events and logs from your system. Okay, so war log in your Linux or Unix systems, or even your syslog. Okay, so this helps. These are all not current data. Okay, so this is like metrics are current live data. Logs or something which has already happened. Okay, it is completed. Okay, so some event has happened, something has accomplished, some changes has already been made. So it's not current data, it's historical data now. And whatever information that you are getting is going to be in a text data format. See, if you're talking about event viewer, you know, like it has got a lot of information inside it. It will have a lot of subsections. It will have lot of description data about the issue, what is currently ongoing, and you have a lot of data here. Okay, so either it is application or system level or setup level. So who installed it, what was the outcome of the installation, what are the different events that are getting generated. So see, events are also part of your logs. So these are all the Windows logs that I'm talking about. So you can interchangeably use words like events or logs. Okay, so it takes some time to load. Okay, let it load. So the reason it is taking time, it has to load all the data, and you can see there are a lot of information that are coming up. You will get a detailed text data where it has your event ID, the issue that is going on, description, and sometimes you also get details about how you can remediate. And the data size is definitely moderate size to heavy size, depends on what kind of monitoring we have configured. So the logs or text information, it helps you with troubleshooting, or it helps you with problem management. Okay, most of the problem management team, so they generally go and analyze the log, because this has already happened. This has been a repetitive issue. So we have to raise a problem ticket, and we need to analyze the logs. So logs comes as a very handy tool for root cause analysis or problem management. So mainly logs are a good source of information for your root cause analysis. Since it is historical data, it has already happened, and it is going to, we generally go and provide a dedicated space for your log information. So either it is a database server, we generally have a separate drive or a partition for your logs. So in Azure, we have a tool called Log Analytics Workspace, where we generally go and accumulate all the logs coming from different systems. Azure resources or even your on-premises system can be combined together into the Azure monitoring tool. So traces are very latest ones, where we are doing a lot of trace monitoring. And see, this is about, so which path the system is connecting through, or records of the path execution, where exactly the executables are running, and where exactly the program is running. And also, if there is a lot of containerized workload, so how much time it takes for one microservice to connect other microservice. So it is mainly for distributed tracing. Your application might be a group of microservices, or if you might have a lot of different containers forming your application. In such cases, See, the troubleshooting or fixing the issue at the microservice level or container is pretty straightforward, because you are going to bring that container or the microservices down and then fix that issue. But then to find out the option, you need to have a better trace maintenance tool or a trace management tool to understand where exactly the problem is or which microservice is causing this particular slowness. So in monolithic application, we generally have three tier, like application, database, and web tier. So you know where to check and where exactly the problem is, and you might have two or three servers contributing to your monolithic application. But then microservices is hundreds of small services combined together to form an application. So when your containerized service application might be good for the troubleshooting, but then when it comes to complexity, the troubleshooting is very tough, because like you have to do a lot of trace maintenance, monitoring, and so on. So just talking about some examples here, like your metrics. So here, how many number of SQL queries we are running, how much time it takes for the SQL query to complete, or how much time it takes for one microservice to communicate with other microservice, how many HTTP based calls are happening, and what are the different API calls that we are receiving, how many remote procedure calls are happening to your application. So the tool should be capable of monitoring and finding out the traces from different software layer or the software components that is involved. So if you have a microservices environment, then these stuff like the REST API, the RPC queries, or how much time it takes for the endpoint to be connected, the HTTP URLs or HTTPS URLs to be connected. So these are all the different examples on the traces. So traces will give you perspective from an end user aspect. See, I'm talking about microservices, which is a containerized environment. Okay, it's already typed out. Okay, so mostly the events and the logs, the metrics, events, and logs, they are more appropriate for your traditional monolithic application. If you have 3 4 servers combined together for forming your monolithic application, then metrics and logs should be more than sufficient. But getting into the modernized platform, then without traces, it is going to be very tough. Now Azure Monitor provides all these three aspects. When it comes to monitoring, it's a combination of all three solution integrated into a one tool called Azure Monitor. After you get all these monitoring information from metrics aspect, logs aspect, traces combined together into your Azure monitoring tool, what we can do is we can do few additional activities from a operations engineer aspect, from a problem management engineer aspect, or from a DevOps engineer. We can do a few things here. Let me put them together. So there are at least 6 different aspects. You can convert this monitoring data for your further analysis or further investigation. You can just say there are 6 different aspects. Okay, so the 6 different aspects are visualizing for better view or better dashboard. See, these days, a lot of application teams or the network operation center team or the first level service desk or L1 team, they all expect some kind of better dashboard to visualize how much time it takes for the application to connect. If it is taking more time, we should see a kind of red indication. Or even if you look at network operation center, they will have all the routers switches showcased in a particular dashboard. They will be able to monitor if a particular router is going down or if a particular switch is taking more time. So you will be able to visualize it in a proper dashboard. So creating a dashboard, getting better insights, and based on the insights, we have to respond to those alerts. So we can also integrate with a lot of different ITSM tools like Remedy or your ServiceNow. So you have option to integrate with third-party ITSM tools or custom sources. And we have analysis, then investigate. So after you get all different metrics from different custom sources, like your Azure resources, VM, app services, storage, network, operating system, and all these data are combined together into three fundamental units. And from those three fundamental units, so as an operations engineer, what are the different um, monitoring related tasks we can perform? So visualize insights, respond, integrate, analysis, and investigate. So what we can do here is there are many different tools that are available for each of your categories here. See, visualization is pretty straightforward. You have to just create a dashboard for the L1 team or for your SOC team or for your NOC team. They want to understand what are the different metrics or what are the different elements that they need to closely monitor. Okay, it can be multiple different stuffs. Okay, so maybe we can create a capacity dashboard. We can say like when the capacity reaches a particular threshold, just inform us so that we can go and increase the capacity or clean up the unwanted data. And sometimes we might be looking at the performance utilization of the application servers or very critical database servers. And if something is unavailable, some network gateway or some DB server or some layer is not available, we can also create a kind of visualization dashboard. Mostly this visualization is going to be very helpful in terms of your governance and creating a report for your weekly and monthly governance meeting. So this helps you with visualization, helps you with governance report and for your see, as a customer, generally we have a weekly and a monthly meeting with the service provider. So our service provider, what they will showcase is they will have some SLA commitment towards each of the application, and with all visualization dashboard they will be able to show us what are the different service level metrics we have and what are the different service level availability metrics we have, and whether we are able to meet it or whether there was any challenges. And if there is any challenges in meeting it, so there might be some contractual agreement that says we might have to pay some penalty and so on. So there will be weekly and monthly governance between the service provider and the customer to look at what are the different availability, performance, and capacity related aspects. And if there is something which has gone beyond the limits, or if you are not able to meet the targets, you might have to pay for it. Now with the dashboarding, we have a inbuilt Azure visualization option. We can create a dashboard within Azure Monitor. So that is the primary option which we might have to target within Azure Monitor. Some customers, they also very inclined towards Power BI. A lot of customers are using Power BI because it provides you a lot of templates for creating dashboards and visualizing it. And some organizations are still using Tableau kind of third-party tools. This is Microsoft. Okay, Power BI is Microsoft, Tableau is another third party. So these are all two different tools which gives you better views, better dashboard. So mainly we want to create some visualization for your application or for each of your application and infrastructure, so that if something goes wrong, we will be able to quickly get into the troubleshooting mode. So we can create views, we can create workbooks, and there are a lot of problem management team or the L1 team who are having a very high dependency. Mostly this visualization dashboard will be monitored by the L1 team or L2 team or network operation center team or system operation center. So different organizations have separate team for network operations as well as for system operations. If you have one single team, that is also fine. Even some of the service desk will first go and check the visualization tool to find out if there is anything that is down or that is having performance issue. If they see that, then they will assign it to the right team. That is what the service desk team generally do. So visualization helps you with better first level support or better visualization, so that you can quickly align or involve the right team for the right support. Next comes the insight. Okay, so see, whenever we go for insight, mostly we need to get the interdependency. So if there is issue in one particular layer, what are the other systems that are having or dependent on these particular system? See, if it is a three-tier application, then it is pretty straightforward. You have a web layer, middleware layer, and application and database layer. So it's like very standard. But then when it comes to microservices, you might have to understand what are the interdependencies, which microservice connects to the other microservice. So we need to create a map that can show you the dependency serves between each of your system. And even insights will also show you performance related insight. What is the current utilization? What is the current CPU memory or disk write, disk IO, network utilization? So all those are again insight will also provide you from a performance aspect, and it will also show you a visualization on a health aspect, whether the service is up or down, or whether it is having some challenges, whether it is getting frequently down. So it can be at the service level, or it can be at the OS level, hardware level. So there are multiple components involved. So each of the different components, health status has to be monitored. It can be service health, OS health, hardware health, or storage level health. So Insight, it gives you different visualization at various level. So you will get visualization tools, plus Insight can be configured for either your virtual machine, or you can configure it for your application or your database containers and so on. So I'll show you this, how to create an insight, or how the insights will look like. So we have separate sections for VM insight, container insight, storage insight, and so on. So that will give you a good understanding. I will show you practically how it looks like. Mostly again, the problem management team can use the insight. Next is the response. Okay, respond. You can configure alerts, you can configure rules, you can configure actions, and so on. I know, like we have been discussing too much of theoretical stuffs. Okay, let me do one thing. Now, let me try to give you a kind of real insight on how these things work. Okay, let's start with your maybe like let's go and create a VM, and then we'll also create some storage account, network, app services, and I will show you these different aspects. See, when it comes to virtual machine, let's create a new VM, and then I'll show you where exactly we need to focus now. Okay, so today also I'm having this pay as you go. So I will just create a very small one, stand web VM001. Now here, let's not have redundancy and all. Let's go with this. So I will just go with my 2019. That should be fine. So, okay, this is all fine. Let's go and select this. So for each of the service, we have a separate tab for your monitoring. So we might not have looked into it very closely, but now we will look into it. I have, see, during the virtual machine class, we talked about the troubleshooting steps, or what are the different steps that we can take. And as part of that, we might have discussed some aspect, for example, guest OS monitoring, or the guest OS diagnostics or boot diagnostics. We might have discussed these two diagnostics option along with your virtual machine troubleshooting. But now we will also understand how the alerting works, or how the alert rules are generally configured. So when it comes to alerting, there might be different standards from different organization. Now there are three different organization which are involved. See, earlier the customer themselves might have their own standards. Okay, and Microsoft as an organization, as a cloud provider, Microsoft will have their own standards for each of the threshold or monitoring metrics. Microsoft is a cloud provider. Now there is a service provider, might be IBM or HP or HCL or TCS. They might have their own standards. So there are three different standards that are available. Now we have to have a discussion between all three parties, or at least the customer and the service provider. We need to um, derive which is better for their application and infrastructure requirement. So whenever there is a particular service that reaches a particular threshold or a limit, when there is a performance degradation, we need to get alerted in order for the team to respond and take quick actions. See, these days, a lot of customers are expecting the performance management team, or the site reliability engineering team, the DevOps team, to do a lot of non-manual fix. So we call it as auto scaling. When there is a performance issue, we need to add more servers and decrease servers. I think we talked about virtual machine scale set, right? So how do we add more servers, or decrease systems? Auto scaling. or auto remediation. If there is a service going down, restart the service or restart the entire server or try to kill the process and try to run it. So we might have a workbook or we might have a kind of automation account where auto remediation can be configured, or like we call it as self-healing or auto fix kind of thing. Automatically, when there is a service down, there will be a kind of Azure function or a Azure automation account that can try to run the server. Try to run the service or start the service, or it can try to restart the entire system, and it will try to fix the issue on its own. So auto scaling, auto remediation, and these are all stuff which are kind of proactive. Okay, so we can also do a reactive fix, but then mostly customers are these days expecting the system to not to wait for the support team to come and fix the issue. Instead, if it is a known issue, they will try to do all the workbook. The orchestrator will try to run the fixes. If the fixes completes the problem, then it's good for the customer or the application owner, right? The application will be quickly available when there is a particular issue. So here, for alerting based on a rule or particular threshold, we need to follow a particular standard or a particular stuff. So here, if I enable recommended alert rules, this is going to add Microsoft's commonly used alert threshold. So some organization might have little different warning level or error level or threshold for each and every aspect. So this is Microsoft standard, which I'm going to show you. So you can also change it to meet the customer expectation or the service provider standard. So generally you will have a threshold configured for both warning and the error level. Error level is something where you need to take immediate action. Warning is something, it's a proactive way of intimating the support team to take some action. So here, if I enable it, see, you can see different values here populating. So for your system, these many different number of alerting can be configured, and within that you can also configure different severity, whether you want to have a critical severity, and for each of these cases you might also have your um, tickets created as per the severity of the issue. So you might have P1, P2, and different levels of tickets. Sometimes it might be an informational alert also. See, most of the support team, they will ignore the informational alert, but it is also a good stuff to look into if there might be some near-term issues on a particular alert. Generally, we should not ignore the alerts, but it is a kind of common practice that only when there is a critical issue or error, then the support teams will take it into high priority and start working on it. Otherwise, the informational events will be ignored. For example, if the CPU percentage is just greater than 80, we have 20 more percentage that needs to be that can be utilized, right? So maybe you can change it to a warning, or you can also change it to a error or critical based on the customer's standard. Okay, so here you have multiple different recommended alert rules. You can keep adding. You can see, for each of these alert you might have to pay extra. Okay, that is where the challenge will come. So see here, for enabling these alerts for this particular system, you have to pay close to $1 for these estimated total. Okay, so it's not free of cost, and you should not just like that go and enable this or configure the alerting. That's where you have a default monitoring, which comes generally as a free of cost. But then if you want to have advanced monitoring, like let's say even for your insight or for your system, see, if you are talking about CPU or disk or network, most of the tools it provides for part of your default monitoring. But then when you talk about advanced level memory or some advanced application related stuff, those are all advanced monitoring stuff which you have to pay extra. So when you are enabling custom monitoring or advanced monitoring or additional alerting threshold, it involves cost. Okay, so you have to be careful when you are enabling it. So you can just go and change it whatever threshold you want, and if you want to change the severity or if you want to change the threshold level. Based on this, the ticket will also get raised in your ITSM tools. So that is what we are talking about as integrate. You can integrate with your Azure ticketing tool, or you can also go and have a third-party tool integration, ITSM tools integration, like your Remedy is nowadays. I think ServiceNow is more common over Remedy. Even Remedy or even customer owned homegrown tool also can be integrated if it supports the specific API as per Microsoft Azure standard. But then ServiceNow and Remedy is more common. It has a default handle. You can go and integrate it. Then you have this analysis or log analytics workspace where you can do a root cause analysis or problem management. So this is mainly to query, analyze, and then find out what are the different ongoing issues. And this is mainly for analyzing. And Microsoft has given us a querying tool called Questor querying language. It is very much similar to your SQL language or other querying language, but Microsoft has created a much easier way of querying, but it's a learning curve. Okay, you have to uh, there are a lot of templates, a lot of custom queries or saved queries available. You don't have to write anything from the scratch. There are a lot of hundreds of queries that are available, which can help you to find a particular governance report or a particular memory related metrics or some specific information if you need it. There are a lot of custom queries or saved queries which you can leverage to pull the report. Earlier, maybe 3-4 years back, we used to uh, refer the internet and we used to write it, but nowadays there is no need for that, because there are a lot of hundreds and hundreds of saved queries that are available for your various Azure resources and various application and infrastructure aspect, which you can readily go and use it. I'll show you how it looks like and how we can utilize it. So here I can just close it. I don't want to add up any cost because this is my pay-as-you-go account. I thought of using my other account, but I have some challenges in reaching that person. So boot diagnostics, if you want to have customer managed storage account, you can have unlimited number of days, or you can just go and pay for it. But then Microsoft is recommending to use their own managed storage account where you can collect all the boot related issues when the machine is getting powered on, and all those insights can be enabled. So it's under the diagnostics or under your insight. So you can also get boot diagnostics or OS guest level diagnostics. So if you want to enable OS guest level diagnostics, it is going to cost you additional cost. You have to create your own storage account, and we have seen this during the virtual machine troubleshooting session. So application health monitoring. See, since this is a basic virtual machine, you can go and monitor. Maybe let me add HTTP here. Automatically, you will get the HTTP endpoint 80 if you are adding it. So under your application performance monitoring, it will monitor the specific path for your HTTP and 80 port, and those stuffs will get monitored. You can also go and configure it. If your default path is not the application health default path, you can also go and change it. So these things can be enabled by default. Okay. So let's create the system and then let's look at how it works. Okay, so you get all these options under your monitoring section. Similarly, for each of your other services, you will have a default monitoring. And if you are going and creating or selecting something extra, then it adds up additional cost. Okay, don't forget this. Okay, so whatever is enabled by default, it is free. Okay, it is part of your virtual machine hardly charges. But if you are adding something more on top of your free tier, then you have to pay a little extra. So let me also create a couple of more services so that you get to understand how these stuff work. Okay, let me also create Azure App Services. Let me create one default. Last week we discussed about app services, right? Let me create a static or a kind of web application. Let me go and select this. I will just say stan web app 001. Okay, let me just, okay, it's not available. Someone has already used it. Stan web app 001. Okay, so you can select the default a kind of sample one. I will just go for sample because I just want to show you how the monitoring works. Okay, this is all fine. I think standard is okay. So here, if I go to the monitoring tab, especially, you can also enable application insight. See, as I told you, each service, either it is virtual machine or network or application service, it adds its own insight. So that's what I was talking about a little while back. So you have insights for your virtual machine, your app services, your database, container, and storage insight. And insight is very, very essential. It gives you a detailed information about your performance monitoring. So it is pretty much equivalent to your application performance monitoring tool. But as a DevOps engineer or as a developer, we need to enhance based on the customer business application requirements. See, different application might be configured in a different way, or it might have been developed in a different way. So as a DevOps engineer, as a developer, we need to utilize this application insight to make it better so that we can use all these powerful analytics tool to detect and save a lot of cost and provide a better performance for your end users. So application insight, it's part of your app services. I will also enable it so that I can show you how it is going to help you with visualization. So it's a separate charges. Okay, app insight is going to get charged separately, but just for the demo, I'm just going to use it anyways. So estimated price is 5,700. Okay, that is going to be too much for me. Okay, let me just choose the free tier if possible. So S1 is heavy. Okay, let me see if I can just go with the free one. See, it's all about demo, right? So just go with free one. Otherwise, I have to, if I run it for a while, it is going to add up some cost. This is pay as you go account. Okay, fine. Okay, let this get created. Yeah, we will also add up some more. Okay, we already have a couple of storage account, so we should be good there. Yeah, so let the VM get created. Let the app services get created. You can just go to Azure Monitor, or you can just type monitor. Okay, this is one single place where you can monitor every different Azure resources. See, this is what I was talking about. You have application insight, VM insight, container, network insight, and these are the fundamental two elements which I was explaining earlier, metrics explorer and log analytics. So if you go here, you will be able to add all different dimensions for all your Azure resources. So let's assume that we have okay, this is the one, right? Okay, fine. So I can just select the resource. So if I want to monitor virtual machines, for an example, it gives you what a lot of different aspects. So if I apply this filter, so it is going to give me various options for your virtual machine. So how much memory is consumed, how much CPU credits, data, disk read. So you can keep adding whatever elements. See, it has got a lot of wide variety of metrics. So these are all the metrics: CPU utilization, memory utilization, network in out, temporary disk caching, disk read time, OS disk IOPS, bandwidth, network read write. So all these elements can be added one by one so that you can just go and look at the aggregation for each of your stuff. See, there are two ways of looking at it. One is to visualize it using a line chart or area chart or a bar chart. So bar chart is very useful for some of the aspects where, especially the capacity stuff, it will be very good in a bar chart. But then if you're talking about CPU credits or uh, the memory utilization and all those things, the line chart will be much better. And you can also get into the logs of each of your services, the activity log that is coming under your second category. So under your activity logs will be part of the log group or the logs category. So now let's do one thing. See, you have all different services. Earlier, I think 1 year back, we used to have only 3 or 4 options or maximum 5 options here. You will have application inside, virtual machine storage, container has got added recently. You might have network earlier, but then all these new stuffs are getting added for each of your Azure services. So you have Service Bus, Azure Stack, Log Analytics Workspace, Key Vault, SQL, Cosmos DB. The insights are getting added up day by day. You also have now integration to your third party open source tools like Prometheus, Grafana for visualization. So I actually missed the Grafana example here. So nowadays, Grafana is also becoming very popular for creating dashboards. Even though it is open source, Microsoft has created their own managed Grafana, and even you have a insight tool from Prometheus where you can monitor and get a lot of application related thing. And even you have a SCOM managed instance as part of your Azure Monitor. This is a Microsoft native monitoring tool which is available as a managed instance service. So let's look at one by one. Okay, let's not jump into everything. So let's see what are the different services has got created. So mostly as a DevOps engineer or as a operations team, we might be asked to create a better dashboard. See, earlier, it used to be very tough. We need to go and talk to the business owner, application owner, and then we used to get what are the different metrics that they need to monitor: CPU, memory, uptime, what is the millisecond latency you have. So all these things used to be a very challenging discussion, and we need to discuss with your a business owner or application owner to measure or to get those details. Now, if you go to the monitoring console here, you get a lot of application specific metrics added by default. If there is any 5xx or different errors, you will be able to notified. Okay, so you might be already aware of this HTTP codes, right? Or if not, I'll just give you a very quick understanding. Most of the troubleshooting at the application level or at the app services, we might have to be familiar with this. So when you are going and getting the insight, see, generally there are some HTTP response code. Okay, so why 5xx is being efficient, I mean, is being monitored is if there is any server side error, then it will report a 5xx HTTPS status code. If it is 4xx, then that is something to do with your client side. Maybe you are typing a bad syntax or bad URL or whatever you are trying to type in. It's not a proper one from the client side. If it is 3xx, then maybe it is a redirection that is happening. One of the primary website is not working and it is redirecting to a different DNS server or a location to complete the request. 2xx is successful. Okay, successful means like the web page that they are trying or the HTTP system that they are trying, it is properly responding. So 1xx is generally your informational. So the request was received and it was processed and the application is continuing to work as usual. So there is nothing to deal with 100 related. See, even if there is a processing delay or stuff, if the get and the post, if it is working properly, then you will get 100. And 200 is mainly a kind of status message where we generally get a successful response if the page is coming up, and even if there is a partial content also, it will show 206, something like that. Okay, there are some different status code. See, the response is coming but then there is no content, it will be a HTTP 204. And maybe like there are different things. Okay, if everything is proper, then you will get a 200 code. 200 means your request was your get request was very successful, and whatever you have posted or whatever you are making changes, it has been successfully completed. So there are various different codes within 2xx, but 2xx are mostly successful. But then sometimes the customer will say like, I'm not getting the entire content, I'm not seeing the entire page, I'm seeing the partial content. Then we might have to go and check the logs to see whether it is a 204 or a 206. 204 means no content. 206 means partial content. So this will help you to understand what kind of content is within your header or within your document or within the response. So similarly, like there are different subsections within that. We don't have to get too deep into it unless you get into a particular problem. But 4xx is mainly to deal with your client side. So that's the reason we are making the 5xs related thing. If the server is not responding properly, or if you are getting a server related issue, then it will be reported as a 500 series. Okay, and within the 500 series, maybe if you are getting 500 exact 500 code, then it is a server issue internal to the server. And sometimes people will ask, okay, if what if there is an in between issue. Okay, so there will be different result for that. See, 500 is server internal issue, and 504 is something which is a kind of issue with your gateway. Okay, gateway is getting timed out, or there is some in between hop issue. And if there is a mismatch in your browser, and if there is a mismatch in the HTTP version, or if there is some loop that is detected, so there will be different codes that you might get. Okay, but for now, don't get too much into it. For now, if there is something related to 5xx, then there is some issue with your application, web application. If it is some other code, for now it's okay. Maybe we might have to troubleshoot it based on your different tool set. And again, the code might be little different between Nginx or Cloudflare or IIS, or if you're using different web framework or different platform like Microsoft IIS, you might have code starting with 440 or 445 or something like that. And similarly for Nginx, you might have a similar code. So the code might be little different in terms of number, but you have to follow the same exact first number, but the second or the third digit might differ between different tools. For example, if you're using Amazon Elastic Load Balancing or Azure Load Balancer or IaaS or Nginx or HTTPS, there might be a little difference. You don't have to remember anything or memorize anything, but at least on a very high level, you can just get to know that if there is something 5xx, there is something which is not working on the server side, and we need address it immediately. That is the reason they have a key metric here. And if the data is coming in and going out, then we have no issues. Yeah, as of now, we have not accessed this. So that is the reason it is just listing empty. Maybe let me try to browse it, and then let's generate some traffic so that it becomes a meaningful um, tool. Okay, so your web app is running and it's resulting in, you guys also can start accessing it, so that the number of systems that are getting connected or the data that I'm going to get will be little meaningful. Okay, you guys can try to click the link and try to access it from different websites or web portal, so that it generates some traffic for me. Okay, let me refresh. Okay, fine. So now that is going to get some data for me to see some data coming in and going out. So you can see the timing also here. That's why we call it as metric or time series database. So that's why I called it as near real time. Okay, it's not very live. There will be some small delay, but it is acceptable. So you can see some traffic is coming in, but then it will take some time to show us the response time, the number of requests, and all those stuff. You can also configure the logs to be sent to your analytics workspace or Grafana, or even a third-party ELK stack. I'll come to that. Okay, you have two sections: monitoring section, which is more into metrics, and you have the logs, which you can send it to your tool, and you can configure the log stream to a third-party SIEM solution, or you can also configure it to be accumulated in a log analytics tool. So these are the two sections which we need to focus on. And you can also configure notifications if there is any issue with your backend infrastructure or any recommendations. You can also look at here. See, generally when if you're an operations engineer, or if you're a problem management you're part of your problem management team, see, you have to start your troubleshooting. I've already told this, but then if you have forgotten, then let me quickly explain this. See, overall, you have a status dashboard from Microsoft Azure. So you can just open up here, and this is where your troubleshooting generally should start if there are multiple services, multiple application that are impacted. If it is only one application or one server, then you can directly go to that service or server or a resource in Azure to troubleshoot it. See, here is where you get all the notifications. Currently, if there are any impact, you will be notified on the current impact dashboard, and it will also show what are the different services and what is the current status for each of the services or resources from Microsoft Azure from each of the regions. So here you can just go and check if there is any warning or stuff, and you can also subscribe for the RSS feed, or you can also get notified of a particular region or a particular service. You can also enable this, and you can start getting the outage report on your email account or in your public distribution list. You can also refresh this thing quickly, and it is going to keep on refreshing, and 2 minutes is more than sufficient. And I would recommend to go with a little higher number, because if you are refreshing it too much, you are going to consume a lot of data in and out, because this is a very big dashboard where a lot of informations are getting populated. So there will be a lot of data read and data out, data in and data out. So after this, you can just go to the Azure status history, where you can find out if there was any recent issue, and you can also go and get the uh, post-incident review. So we call it as root cause analysis, or we call it as a RCA document. And if you look at here, they will tell you like what were offline at this time, what was the impact, and when the issue started, what are the different impact we had because of this, and why was the impact, and what went wrong, and what exactly Microsoft team did to fix that, and how they responded. They will be providing you updates wherever possible. Okay, so this will be communicated via email, as well as you can see it here. And they will also provide you a post incident review, okay, how they are going to avoid such things in the future. Okay, so they have mentioned that they have replaced the failed rectifier and inside the UPS room, and they have also they are working with the manufacturer to see how we can uh, complete this, and all these things has been already taken care. So you can just go through this, and this is a very good RCA report that you can um, leverage, and you can also implement in your organization. Also, you can also get a PDF version of the same, and this is a very detailed RCA report that you will get whenever there is a downtime in any of the services in any of your product from Microsoft. See, this is the documentation. You can also use it, and generally they retain all these root cause analysis for the last 5 years. Okay, that is the thing that they generally do. So you get the RCA for almost 5 years, which is more than sufficient. Okay. Okay. So now the coming back to your status health. Okay. So once after you look at the status.azure.com, you can also go to your portal and then find out what's going on with your systems. Okay. So here is a health dashboard, which is specific to your Azure subscription. So within your subscription, what are the different issues that are going on, and what is the monthly authentication availability rate? So you can also get these details for your governance discussion for your customer. So customer will ask like, what is the subscription availability overall, and what is the SLA that we are able to achieve, and you can also go and look at a little more SLA related stuffs under your health dashboard. Sorry, not this, service health. So go to service health. Here is where you will be able to find out all the recent events in terms of every single service, what are the different planned maintenance that is there, and based on that you can proactively take some uh, measures to overcome the issue. And if there is any health related issues or advisories, if there is any malware that is creating spread, or if there is any intrusion, or if there is any specific natural disaster that is lined up, so all those health advisories or report for a particular region will be listed here, and what are the different security issues going on, advisory report will also be published here. So you can get to understand for your subscription and for your services alone here. But then status.azure.com is common to every customer, whereas this particular service health dashboard, it's specific to the events that is pertaining to your Azure subscription and resources. So you can also get the health history here. What are the different issues that has happened in Microsoft Azure specific to your thing. This is for the last week, and if you want to look at last 3 months also, it will be available for 90 days. Okay, so there is no issues in your subscription for the last 90 days, which is good. So you can also go and look at status.azure.com or service health within Azure, where you get all the plant maintenance, you get all the health advisories. If there is any natural disaster or any specific event, or if there is any security related advisories, if there is any terror attack, or if there is any antivirus, or sorry, if there is any virus getting spread, if there is any specific vulnerability on a particular region, so all those things will be there. And have the health history, which is very important. You can find out all see, customers will in turn ask the RCA report, and you have to get it from Microsoft. You can get it under the health history. So if you go to the health history, you'll be able to get all the relevant RCA document, or the post incident, they call it as PIR, post incident review. Some customers call it as root cause analysis, which is mainly like giving you information on what went wrong, when it went wrong, and how Microsoft approached it, and how they are going to overcome it for the future. So all those details will be covered in your health history. So resource health, it is at every single resource. If you want to specifically look at each of your resources, you can just go and add them. And you can also configure a resource health alert also here, okay, for each of your services. So you get a health alert. Once you configure it, you will be able to view it here. So you can configure an health alert, and you can also configure conditions here. So you can select whatever services you want to monitor and for which region, and then you can also select what are the different steps. See, I was talking about planned maintenance, service issue, health advisory, security advisory, right? So all these things can be configured at one place, which is under health alert. If you want to configure alerting, always go to health alert section. That will give you an easier way to configure the alerts, health alert section. So this is where you can configure issues that are specific to your account. Okay, any plan maintenance, health advisory, security advisory, and across different regions. If you are using only specific regions, you can also select specific things. For example, US East, you have the option to type in here and then filter it. You can just select this thing. Maybe I can select one more and then keep moving. So what is the action that you're going to do? So you can create an action group where you can send an alert, or you can just let me go and okay. So that is, I think I have the resource group here. Okay, this is all fine. Action group 001, stand action group 01. Now, under the notification, there are many options. You can send an email or an SMS or a voice message or a push message. See here, generally what organizations do is they have a generic email ID. So something like service desk at organization.com. So here they will be able to okay, they will be able to receive it. And once there is a email coming towards that particular service desk or tool, automatically it will create a ticket. Okay, that is how generally most of the organization will configure an email alert. And if you want to alert the on shift, I mean the person who is in shift, you might be given a mobile device, or you will receive a voice message or a text message, and it based on organization's requirement. You might have some specific mobile numbers enabled, and you will get a SMS message or a push message or a voice message based on your requirement. These days I could see people are integrating with Teams. You have integration with business WhatsApp, all those things. But mostly in organization, you have integration in your Teams chat or a Teams channel. Okay, there you will get a notification that there is a particular alert or a issue on MS Teams. That is the most common thing. And there are some startup organization which are using a lot of different no, I mean collaboration tools, but then Teams is what I have seen most commonly used. So let me just say email, and then you can just go for a specific email ID. So scale up with stan@gmail.com. Okay, you can also enable voice message to a particular mobile number. You can add a SMS phone number, and then you will get, if you want to enable the common alert schema, you can also add it so that it is a very structured message. Okay, so you can add it for different teams. If you have multiple different teams involved for your application, maybe like a database team or a application team, you can also notify multiple teams. You can add multiple grouping here, and it can be email or whatever. Okay, now this is where the stuff that I was talking about. If you want to do a auto self heal or a self remediation, this is what you can generally use. Okay, the most common thing is your ITSM tool integration, but then these days a lot of organizations are trying to have a proactive fix. Okay, you can use Azure automation runbook to start a service if the service goes down, or an Azure function like a Lambda function to do some activities when there is a invoke that is happening. And you can also integrate with a third-party event hub or ITSM tool. The ITSM tool is very common. That's where you go and integrate with your remedy or different ticketing tool. So you can configure which tool you want to connect. Okay, whether you want to connect with ServiceNow or whether you want to connect with remedy. So you need to have a ServiceNow domain created for this, and you can connect to that particular manage engine or SolarWinds or Splunk or ServiceNow or remedy. Even if you are in homegrown tool, it supports Azure REST API, you can also directly connect with the ITSM tool here. Okay, you have variety of options to create a ITSM ticket. This is what most commonly done in your organization. But if you want to create a runbook and automatically restart a particular service or restart a VM, or if you want to increase a server, so this is what I was talking about, right? If there is a particular alert, you can go and auto scale, or you can auto remediate and so on. So you can configure to add more servers or reduce the servers, or you can restart the server or stop the service. So all those things can be written as a run book, and you can go and if it is a built-in run book, these are the stuffs. But if you have created a run book, you can go to your automation account and you can have it. So I will show you that, okay, before we move on. So that is main these days from DevOps engineers or platform reliability engineers. A lot of organizations are expecting the runbooks to be created. This is part of your job role if you are a platform reliability engineer or DevOps engineer. One such thing is automation, right? They want the manual work to be automated and to bring Stan automation account 001. Okay, so you can create a system assigned managed identity to perform all these activities, review and create. So we have already seen couple of things. One, how to restart stop the server and start the server at a particular time as part of your maintenance. See, for your non-production environment, we generally do that, and that is actually part of your automation account. Even the automated patching. Okay, so last week we discussed about patch management, how to automatically patch a system on a scheduled basis at a particular time. This particular patch window will trigger a maintenance for your system, and it will complete the patching, right? Even the patching is part of your automation account. Restarting or a lot of different things can be automated. I'll show you this. So here, as I told you, the patching activity, the inventory and change tracking, these are all part of your automation. The update management is again part of your automation. So this is where you can go and write your own Python packages to automate if you are good in Python. And if you want to use Microsoft default runbook, you can also go to the runbook section here, and then you can use the automation section to import whatever we have in your you can also go to the gallery. This is Microsoft Gallery, where a lot of developers are creating a lot of different runbook. So if you want to stop a particular machine at a scheduled time, you can also use this. So someone with the name Pradeepan has created it, and a lot of people have used it, and they are giving a good rating. So you can also look at the rating, and then if there is any bugs or issues, then the download will also be very less. So you can look at this like your app store or a play store, where you go and get where you go and use something which is most downloaded and most rated, right? So even if you want to try some automation, always try the ones which are mostly downloaded, so those will be very relevant to your organization requirement. See, sometimes Azure database related thing, and if you want to do some indexing in your databases or update management, or if you want to trigger some see, a lot of different run books has been created using PowerShell, Python, and so on. So you can just try few things which has been most commonly downloaded and most with most rating. And so that see, a lot of organization will ask you to go and create a run book for sending some emails and so on. So you have thousands of run book available, which is again part of your job role. You can go and use the script. Most common scripts will already be there. Okay, maybe we might have to do some minor tweaking. Some organization will ask you to go and disable the expired account and delete them, clean up them. So you might have to write a PowerShell runbook or a Python runbook. It will already be available. So before you write anything, go and check the GitHub or the gallery from Azure Automation, and then try to use that. Or else you can look at the Azure Automation GitHub portal. You will definitely find whatever is relevant to your use case requirement. I would see millions of run books are already available, but then always go with the one which has got better rating and most commonly downloaded. Maybe if certain stuff is not commonly downloaded, then it is not a good use case. So always spend some time to restart, try the restart of the server during a particular time to get hands-on on your patching exercise, update management. Also try to see if there is a service that is getting changed, how to configure alerting, and how to send an email. So all these things has to be well understood. This is part of your response. But before that, let's complete the visualization part. Okay, that is one of the most important regular work that a project engineer or a operations team generally do. Yeah, let's go to the app service, and I'll show you how to create a quick visualization dashboard. Okay, so if you go to application insight, you have this option everywhere. Okay, you go to VM or you go to network or database, you will see the application insight, and there are a lot of concepts or options available for you to write your own insight here using different languages. But I would prefer you to first look at the overview, and within the overview you will see some option to create a dashboard here. Okay, let me go to this monitoring section. Okay, see, there are a lot of information available here, but generally we get one easier option. I'm just trying to figure it down. Generally we get, okay, I've enabled it. Okay, let's go and the activity log is fine, but then there is one more. Okay, insight is here. Okay, operation site. Okay, it is taking some time. Okay, let's leave it. Okay, let's not wait for this one. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's go to the monitor. So here under this monitor, we have the application insight section. And within that, you can also go and create a monitoring insight. Okay, let's select this. So it is again taking you here, right? See here, now you have multiple different options. So when you're landing it from the monitoring tool, you have the option to monitor the resource group. See, generally your application might have multiple resources at the resource group level. So you might have an application connecting to a database or a different business application outside of your environment. So all those things will be within your resource group. If you want to configure insight for the entire resource group, you have this option. But then mostly we want to have dashboards created for the number of failures occurring on your each of your application, what are the error counts that we are seeing, and then what are the different performance related metrics we are seeing, what is the overall availability. And generally when you are trying to present to a business owner or for an application owner, they will look for all these things: the SLA report, failure report, performance report, what is the current live metrics, how many users are currently accessing it, how many transactions are happening at your database level, all these things, application mapping, which server is talking to which server, and how these connections are working out. So all these things will be available here. It will take some time to populate, but for now I'll give you an interesting option to explore. Go to overview and click on this application dashboard. It will automatically create a dashboard view for your application, and it will have all the aspects of what customer will expect: how many number of users are connecting, how many failures are happening, what kind of response time it takes, what is the server response time, what is the average time it takes for the web page to load. All those information will start getting available in next maybe it takes 15 to 20 minutes to populate, but then after some time, once multiple connections are established, you will be able to see all the important elements that you need to show to your customer or business owner. They will ask us how much memory is being used, how much CPU is used, what are the server level failures, are there any dependency issues, what are the service response time, how much time it takes for the page to load, and what are the number of unique users that are getting connected, are there any new users that you are seeing in your report, number of unique sessions, what are the number of failed requests, and all based on all these things you will be getting a reliability dashboard, usage report, responsiveness report. And what you can do is you can directly share it with your customer by this access control permission, or you can also export it for attaching it to your PPT governance report or an Excel report. You can download it into a report. And if you want to create something very much similar to this, you have the option to clone it for your application. So if you have created your own application, what you can do is you can just click on this clone. It will create a new empty, just a layout structure, and you can start adding whatever you want. For example, they have a lot of tiles open here, right? And on this tile, you can just go and add some more customization. So you can add additional tiles if you want. So if you want a resource group level report, or if you want to add a clock to your dashboard, so that, so you can just move it wherever you want. Just a second. You can set the time zone, okay, because like what time the service is being monitored. You can also resize it. You can just go and fit it in a one by one tile.
Understand.
Yeah,
I have a question here. How
yeah.
often each resources monitoring is like frequently monitoring, like kind of polling interval? Is there a standard, time interval? Each resources to the polling, like it go and see the usage of the resources there.
Yeah, let me talk about that. See, there are three standards as I mean, when I started the session, I was talking about three different standards. One from the customer themselves, they want to monitor different application in a different interval. See, more the granular you go, more the metrics or more the logs will get accumulated, and you have to pay for it. As I told, the basic
Okay,
monitoring
okay.
is free of cost. Okay, and if you want to have a detailed monitoring, as you are looking for like every 1 minute granular monitoring or every second, then the number of alerts logs getting accumulated will be higher and you have to pay for it. So
Yeah, that I saw that. But
yeah,
the default monitoring, the timeline, how it should be.
yeah, I think there has been a recent default monitoring uh, interval in Azure. See, it depends on you want to understand virtual machine or you want to understand which one. So the time granularity minimum is 1 minute, but then I think they
Okay.
have recently changed. Maximum you can go up to 1 second. So yeah, default is 15 seconds. Minimum time granularity 1 minute, and I think you can go up to 20 minutes for a SQL storage. It depends on the Azure service and the dimension that you
Yeah.
want to monitor, but mostly it is
Okay.
every
Okay.
1 minute. Yeah.
Okay, okay, sure. Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And where it get like all the historical logs, the performance log will get stored specific
Yeah, there is a log
like if you're
analytics
configuring.
workspace where you go and get it. See, let me show you that here only. So let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, let me complete this. See, you can create
Yeah,
your
sure,
own
sure, sure.
dashboard. You can have as many tiles as you want. And if you feel like these things are not important and you want to have it in a one by one tile, you can also have it. See, as I showed you, you can change the size of each of the tile that you want to monitor, and you can keep adding a lot of different aspects based on your requirement. For example, if you want to add a metrics chart for a particular element, you can also add it. So here you can just go and add what stuff that you want to configure on this particular time. So let me just delete it. So here is where you will get, let me cancel it. You can also save by giving a different name for your application, and you can keep adding it. See, earlier, like 3 4 years back, it is very tough to create a dashboard because you have to create every single thing that the business owner needs. But at least this will be a very good starting point. Okay, if you show this tile to the customer might have their own expectation. They will say, I need some more additional thing. I want to view how much disk read, and you need to add those things, and you can also add it. Okay, because you can see that the process level, memory level, CPU, and then you see what are the different parameters or failed request and so on. But then sometimes they might need some more dimension. You can keep adding what you want. So let me show you this metrics explorer. See, earlier we used to have different services for different things. Okay, so whoever has asked the question, so you used to have multiple different tools, but now it is only one single tool. Earlier we used to have Metrics Explorer, where you get the metrics configured. So here is where you go and configure the granularity. Okay, let me just close this. Okay, so this is currently automatic. I will just go for this custom. Let me select the scope first. Okay. See, by default, it is going to 15 minutes, okay? And then if you want to change it to every 1 minute, you can bring it, minimum is 1 minute. Okay, and you can go up to 1 day granularity. And again, as I told you, it is based on the metric namespace that you are selecting, whether it is SQL database or virtual machine or what kind of stuff if you want to select. You can change the metric, and based on each of the metrics, the granularity will change. You have a minimum of 1 minute, and you can go up to maximum of 1 day. Similarly, for the other question, you have a tool called Log Analytics Workspace. That is where you generally go and store all your logs. So this is where all your logs will get accumulated. And if you go to your Log Analytics Workspace, see, earlier we used to go and write a query for finding any issues with your virtual machines or on your different stuff. But then now you have, let me just go to the logs. I will show you that. See here, what we generally used to do earlier is we used to go and type the command or the querying language KQL, similar to your SQL. You can go and type what kind of aspect you want to look at. But then now the querying pack has been loaded. You can also go and select the specific query pack from the list here. See, if you want to read only virtual machine related, or if you want to have different packs here, you can just go to one of them. See, let me just show you in a different dimension, not this. Just close it. See, if you go here, if you click on this, okay, again, it is coming here only, right? Then anyways, fine. So for your virtual machine, earlier, when we want to see what, okay, let's not use this. See, if you want to find out what is the available virtual machine memory across all your resource groups, so what you can do is you can just go and select this. Okay, and if you want to get a report of the virtual machine disk space, You can also get it. Just a second. So you can also search it here. Okay, let's see. What was the thing? Yeah, capacity, not this. Disks free space. Okay, see, I have some, for example, if I want to pick the top 10 virtual machines with highest disk available space, see, I can just go and load it to the editor. So this is what we call it as KQL, or Questo querying language, which is very much similar to your SQL query, but then earlier we used to write the entire thing here. So this is going to show me what are the top 10 computers with highest available disk space. And if you want to get the other way around, you can also go and change the top 10 by the metrics here. Okay, so instead of the free megabytes, you can just see what is the top 10. You will have that query here. Okay, so if you run it, it will go and pick up and show me what are the different systems that we have with the highest available disk space from all your list of machines. See, currently it is taking some time. We have just given last 24 hours. I've just created the machine a few minutes back. So it generally takes at least 1 hour to capture all these information because it needs some metrics. Okay, so you can just click on this query and whatever you want, most of the stuffs will be already available here. Okay, so top 10 computers, maximum node disk, logical disk space percentage. And this is what I was talking about. If you want to get the list of computers with only 10% disk space available for a particular duration, maybe for the last 1 month or for the last 7 days, you have almost every single aspect, virtual machine free disk space report. If the customer is asking, I want to get all the virtual machine free disk space report, you can get it. So this is just for the disk filter. Okay, if you want memory related or something different, you can also go and fetch every single thing. Okay, for example, if I want to get memory related report for all my services, see, when once after I type it, automatically on the left, which are the resources that are appropriate will be filtered on the left. Only virtual machines, containers, and some Azure resources will have memory related stuff. And see, it is going to give me what are the different processes that is consuming my memory, and what is the count, and what is the memory and CPU usage. If you want to just get only the memory usage from your Kubernetes cluster or from your virtual machine, you can also get it from the containers or from your virtual machine. See, every single thing will be available. So earlier we used to go and type it on our own, but then it is already pre-populated. Thousands of queries are already available under your KQL query packs for each of your selected resources, and you can get it. So for your question, all the logs gets accumulated in your log analytics workspace, which is Microsoft managed workspace. But if you want to have for a specific duration of your choice, you can go and create log analytics workspace, and you can store it for whatever number of days you want to uh, keep it.
Okay, having a separate storage account for that, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. This is a intelligent storage account. See, log analytics workspace is a storage account, but
okay,
with analytics and machine learning added to it. It is an intelligent
okay,
storage account, I would say. Log analytics workspace is a storage account with analytics embedded to it, or machine learning and intelligence added up.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And coming to the query, you're referring like it collects all the usage. It's in the VM level, right? In the Azure level, not in the OS level, right?
See, at the end, see, the disk space is at your OS only, right? And the memory utilization is at your OS level only. See, you are going to get, if you want detailed information, as I told you earlier during the VM class, if you're
Okay,
talking specifically about virtual machine, you have options to go and configure performance diagnostics, or the additional default, the additional stuff here. You have to add. By default, it is going to collect all the host level metrics, but then if you want to collect the operating
right.
system level metrics, you need to add the extension, and it is going to collect all your information from your guest OS. You need to add the diagnostics tool, and even here, if you go to this section, you will also get an option. So to get started with collecting all the guest level metrics or guest level diagnostics,
Okay,
you need to create your own storage account first, and then you can enable it. And after enabling it, you can start seeing all the OS level, guest level metrics. Yeah, as you said, it is currently at the Azure level, at the host level.
Azure level. Okay.
But if you want to get at the guest level, you can enable this guest diagnostic settings, and automatically that will again come to your log analytics workspace.
Okay. Okay. Got it, Stan. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. So we are at 7
Uh,
o'clock. Yeah, go
and
ahead.
the extent of the same question, okay, is it at the resource group level or at the subscription level?
It's all what you are configuring here. See, for example, as I told you, as I showed you, see, if I go to my monitor, you have the option to configure for your entire resource group here. Just for an example, if I'm going to my application or application specific, this can be for any of your services. So you have the option called monitor resource group. If I select this, whatever resource group that this particular resource is part of, it will start monitoring the entire resource group. All the resources will be monitored here. But then if you want to do it for specific subscription also, you can do it. See here, whatever different services that I have enabled, everything has started getting accumulated here. Application layer, compute, network layer, storage layer, everything is here. So all the resources pertaining to this resource group will get started monitoring. So generally we do it at the resource group level or resource level. Even you can do it at a subscription level if you are a very small customer or if you have very less number of applications and resources. But if you are doing at the subscription level for a large customer, it will be very, very tough, but you can do it. So generally we do it at the resource group level by selecting the resource group, which will add up all the different segments. And you might also do it at the resource level. Say at the resource level, you have the option below. You can do it for your specifics, even for your application. You can get separate reports here. What are the different number of users connecting? What are the different sessions that are going on? So all these things will be available here. Okay, last number. So it will, you cannot get it immediately. It will take some time to populate, and then from the workspace you will get it. But some customers will ask for different metrics, which you might have to go and add it. You already have it, but then you might not have it on your default dashboard. You can go and get them added based on the customer requirement. So
Okay, thanks.
no worries. Yeah, so let's do this here. See, data collection rule. So here you can collect it at the subscription level, or if you want to select specific resources, you can also add the resources and you can collect the information for specific resources. By default, you can just select which subscription and which resource group. And then if you want to collect resources, collect data sources for specific resources, you can also do that. You can also customize it. You can select which resources, which endpoint to monitor, and you can collect them and store it in a specific area for a business unit or for a business application. That way it will your troubleshooting can be more focused and streamlined. Okay, you have that option also to collect the information for 2 or 3 resources or 2 or 3 applications together. Okay, just a second. I will see if I'm missing something. See, generally you try to create some dashboard, try to run some queries, try to do some minor automation, and try to configure some alerts, metrics, go and see what are the different metrics available. So these are all the general stuff that as an operations engineer, as a platform reliability engineer, you might have to get little more insights or little more time you have to spend, because your job is completely around the topic that we are discussing today. Okay, and then if you are an operations team, this is one among your day-to-day routine. You need to go and configure alerts, either an email alert or a ITSM integration, or you might have to go and add additional metrics. So that will be your day-to-day routine stuff. But as a platform reliability engineer, the more you observe, the more the uptime for your systems. You can go and configure additional metrics and so on. Yeah, I think someone started speaking. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Stan.
Yes, yeah.
Hello.
Yes,
If we
Krish.
create one
Mhm.
instance, can it be reused again for any other usage, or only once we can do modifying, or it can be only used once?
Which one? Dashboard or
any dashboard or instance, anything. Can we reuse it? Like you said, like pay as you go pricing, right? If we modify and reuse means it will be useful, right? And cost also can be decreased.
No, I did not get your question, Krishnakant. Maybe you might have to elaborate it.
If you are creating new instance at first time,
Instance means
and
you're talking about virtual machine, right?
yeah,
Okay.
and you have saved the details, and if you are going to create a new instance without going for new instance, already available instance, can you modify with what you are going to create in new?
Okay. Is it relevant to today's topic or around monitoring, or you are asking in general?
In general, I'm asking.
See, okay. See, when you're talking about instance, I'm not sure if you are still referring to virtual machine. See, generally these days, virtual machines are used for specific purpose, right? See, in earlier days, whatever, if you're talking about instance as virtual machine, see, in the olden days, we used to have a very high configuration physical server, or we used to have systems at the physical level, and we generally go and multi-purpose it. When I say multi-purpose it, we might use it as a application server. We might also use it as a database server, or one server might be used for multiple applications and so on, because we want to make best use of the physical machine. It might have very high amount of CPU memory and so on. Nowadays, after virtualization has come in, okay, we have all the VMs getting created, or the instance getting created. So mostly, in order to avoid conflict of port numbers or processes, or if one application owner wants to bring the system down, the other application should not get impacted, right? So it is generally single purpose these days. So if you have a business application, you might want to use it for only that application. Earlier, we might have multiple application which has the same dependency or the same prerequisite, like .NET framework or Java runtime environment. We might try to combine them together, but these days we don't really use one server for multiple application, or for multiple role or multiple features. It's generally single purpose these days, to avoid the downtime that is needed for each application. See, if you have multiple application on the same server, then the operations team have to talk to 5 different business unit in order to do a small maintenance. If it is one business application per server, they can just talk to one team or one owner, and then get the downtime and do whatever activities. See, multi-purposing is not there these days. They have started using one instance for one particular requirement or purpose. Okay, but I'm not sure why there was a question around it, but that's the answer. Anyways, now coming back to the other aspects around the monitoring, or the event. So far, we have been more focused on the event, but then we have another fundamental unit called logs. See, in Azure, similar to your AWS CloudTrail, or similar to your other logs, here we have all the logs getting accumulated in your activity log. Okay, so activity log, it's going to store all the different modifications, or any new deployment, anything that you are deleting or posting or modifying at Microsoft Azure subscription level, or even at the tenant level, or even at your resource group level or resource level. Everywhere you will see the activity log. So this activity log, by default, it is going to have 3 months data, or I would say 90 days data will be available for free of cost, same like your CloudTrail. Okay, and here if you want to have more data beyond that, see, any modifications, any new deployment, anything that you are uploading to your S3 bucket, or posting to your web application, or any deletion you are doing, any activities, okay, any activity that you are performing, all the activity log will get accumulated in the Microsoft Azure platform. So all the subscription level events, tenant level event, resource group, resource level event. So if you are restarting your virtual machine, if you are modifying your properties of your storage account, all these insights from your management plane will be related events or changes will get updated here. So if you want to determine, okay, so if you're doing a root cause analysis or if you're doing a problem management, if you want to determine what, who, and when the modification happened, or when the new deployment happened, so everything, on any resource at a given point of time on your subscription, if you want to find out what the changes was made, who made it, and when it was made, what time, every single activity on your subscription level, resource group level will get accumulated, and you will be able to see it here. And all these activity log can be funneled. See, if you go to any of the resource, for example, go to a virtual machine, you can see all the activities happening related to your virtual machines here, when it was deployed, who modified it, and what was the health status. So every single activity will be recorded in your activity log. And if you want these activity log to be sent to a different solution like Sentinel or Log Analytics Workspace, or if you want to configure it, you can just go and configure it. If you go here under your activity log, by default you will get all the activity logs under your all management group subscription, but you want to filter it down for a specific subscription. I'm not sure if it is the one. Okay, it is also used, but I'll go with this other one where you'll have a lot of other activities, and you can also go and change the severity. You can go and add as much as filter, and you can configure it. If you want to export this activity log, you can also export it, and you can also download it as a comma separated file. See, if you download it at this level, it will get every single event from your subscription. But some customers will ask for a particular resource group or for a particular filter for an application and so on. You can just go and filter it down, and you can export it, or you can download it, or you can also visualize it in your insight. You can also go and add additional columns based on your requirement. If you want to find out which resource group, what kind of event if you want, you can go and add additional columns to find out when the issue happened, what time, and who made the changes, and so on. See, this is again a change analysis tool. It is very much similar to your change tracking. So who made changes at what time and in your subscription. So you will be able to go and find it out. Okay, so you can see every single changes that has been made in your organization. Okay, so in this particular app services plan, I changed it, right? I changed it from standard tier to free tier. Okay, so every single changes will be recorded here. This is the location where you can come and quickly find out if there was any specific change on a particular resource or a resource group. Okay, change analysis is a very quick tool where you can quickly find out what has been changed, and who did that change, and what was the impact of that. Okay, so this is where you will be able to find all the change related stuff. But activity log, just a second, sorry, dismiss it, close it. Okay, so activity log, you get it free of cost for 90 days, but if you want it to be extended for more days, you can do it. And as I told you, diagnostic settings is very useful, but if you want to get OS level guest diagnostics, you have to pay additionally for that, and you can do it. Similarly, for your network related services, today I cannot create a lot of network related stuff. Okay, it will take some time, but if you want to have a network insight, you will have all the network level visualization. So how much time it takes for this network interface, whether this network interface was up and down, how many traffic, how much traffic is going through this network security group. And you can also go and find out what are the different public IP addresses that are being used, and who are all hitting that public IP address, how many resources are being there. You can go and find out the connectivity. You will be able to find out the traffic. And sometimes customers might ask you about the interdependency, okay, which system is talking to other system. So those things you can also find out here. You can also create a network topology if you want to visualize the entire network, or else if you want to find out a quick interdependency mapping. I'll show you an example here. Let's go to the map. See here, as I told you, you can get a performance related details there, but under the map, let me just go and configure it quickly. So sometimes it might take its own sweet time to come up, but maybe I'll show you how it looks like. Okay, it is taking some time. Maybe let me try to show you if I have the PowerPoint open. Yeah. See, as I told you, there are two different fundamental elements like metrics and logs. All these things are getting collected in Azure Monitor tool. So a lot of information is coming from application, operating system, Azure resources like virtual machine, app services, web apps, or whatever at the subscription level and the tenant level. You can also configure on-premises custom sources also if you want to collect the logs in Azure Monitor. Once after it is collected, Microsoft groups them into two different categories, metric store and log store. So this is visualized using metrics explorer, and this is visualized using or queried using log analytics workspace. There are two fundamental metrics. Nowadays there is a third metrics which is called traces, and these are the different stuff that we generally do. See, insights are mainly for the L1 team or the system operation center team or the network operation center team. They will just look at what is going on, and mainly it is used for governance and reporting. If you want to show what's happening on your environment at the application level to a end customer or a business owner, this insight will be much beautiful. You can create a lot of visualization using dashboard or Power BI or workbooks. All these options are integrated. Okay, I'll show you that option, how the workbooks can be created or how you can download it. So for analyzing, the support problem management team or the operations team or whoever is part of the ITSM governance, they will use these two resources or tools very heavily. The metrics explorer is for visualizing the metrics. Log analytics is for storing the logs and doing it. And as I told you, you can configure alert based on your organization threshold. You can also go and integrate with your automation runbook to auto scale it or auto remediate or restart the server or whatever you want. You can also do it. Now, the main thing, I came to the slide to show the interdependency mapping. See, dashboard, this is this is one of the customer dashboard that we have developed. It is very much similar to what we saw in the application dashboard, right? So sometimes they might also want to have the list of anti-malware or the vulnerabilities, and they might also want to see like when the system was updated and what is the patching status of the system. So some customers might ask for different data. They want to see the infrastructure security as well as the application view. You might also have to go and add additional tiles based on the customer requirement. Sometimes they want to see what is the patching status, what is the anti-malware installation status. You can also go and add them in your dashboard based on the requirement. And some customers might also want to see the CPU utilization per server. You can also, this is created using Power BI, not from Azure dashboard. Some customers will also create some how many users are accessing from Africa or specific region, what is the number of connections, where exactly is the highest number of connection, from which locations people are accessing. So these kind of dashboard you can create it in Power BI or Tableau, which is more business relevant, so that they can understand how, where exactly the business is performing well. This is not for the operations team. This is mainly for the business to keep expanding how the end users are scattered, and this can help with business improvement. Now, I just want to show you the interdependency screenshot. Sorry. So usage and billing, I don't think I have a interdependency mapping screenshot. Okay, I think I don't have it. Let me see if this is still validating. Okay, let me show you a different way. Go to performance, go to the view, go to connections. This will give you some basic idea. Okay, so here, see, I have a subscription. I have a specific resource group. I have multiple virtual machine. See, generally, if you go and connect a database server to a web server and an app server to a web server, you can also go and look at the different virtual machine. Let me wait for the population time range. I will say last 1 hour. And I can also go and select inbound and outbound connection. I did not make any connection, but I will just say inbound connection for now. Let me also try to log into that machine and try to do something. Otherwise, there will be zero data. See, this is generating the topology. You can also do it at the network level, or you can also create a visualization interdependency mapping. Let me log in to one of the VM. Okay. Just give me 10 minutes, okay? I know we did not have a break today. I'll try to conclude. I'm also using a different laptop today, so it is kind of having a different keyboard layout. Okay, let this get logged in so that at least some processes are going on. That way you will get some report here. Otherwise it will be what happened. So what it is going to show us is like which process are getting accessed on this computer, how many users are connected, which server is talking to which server. So complete interdependency mapping will be available. So computer to computer, or computer to process to port, or which remote IP is connecting to the server on which port. So that way you will get complete visualization and dependency. If you are planning to migrate, or if you are trying to give some inputs to the business owner or application owner, this interdependency or connection mapping report will give a very clear cut report summary on what are the inbound connections, what are the outbound connections from that machine, which exact sites these machines are connecting to. Some customers will not know which application is talking to which external application. In such cases, you can go and get the outbound direction, and it will also show you which IP or which port it is trying to connect. You can go and get all the interdependency mapping for every single system at the VM level, at the resource group level. You can get all the details. So it will take some time. Okay, so you will not get it immediately. Okay, let me. You can also share this with your um, application owner or business owner. Okay, let this get generated. It is also taking some time. Okay, so let this come. See, as I told you, if you are working with different customers, see, most of the Azure platform level or infrastructure level information will be readily available. In some areas, you might also have to go and propose something in addition to what you have. See, currently, all the log analytics information that is getting ingested, right? Or if you want to store it beyond 31 days, it is chargeable. But within 30 days, it is free of cost. And similarly, if you want to accumulate activity logs beyond 90 days, it is separately chargeable. So likewise, all the data ingestion and data retention, it okay, so it depends. For example, let's talk about log. Log is where you get a lot of cost, right? As I told you, events are the metrics are very less weight, and it won't incur most charges because it is time bound database like task manager, performance monitor. It is going to be time bound. Only the events, the logs that are getting accumulated is more challenging, and whatever you are collecting or whatever telemetry you are getting. So there are two aspects, right? Data getting ingested, and then once after it gets ingested, you want to retain it for a particular number of days based on your legal security requirement or auditing requirement. You might have to keep the log for multiple number of days. Okay, so by default, for data ingestion, I think 30 days is until when, or I would say 31 days is generally free of cost. But after 31 days, if you want to ingest data from a particular thing, um, See, again, you can also go for capacity reservations for your storage. Okay, so if you're going for capacity reservations on your storage level, you also get 30 to 40% discount, which is very considerable number. Or else you might have to pay per GB, because it is intelligent storage account. Whatever locks you are getting, you have to pay per GB on the capacity level. First 30 days is free of cost, but after 30 days you have to pay every GB. But more the capacity, more you store, the price will decline. Okay, that is the principle that any cloud provider do. More you store, see, after 100 GB there will be a pricing, and after 200 GB there will be a different pricing. The more you store, the price declines, or I would say lesser the price. Okay, the price will decline. Okay, so again, for data retention, 31 days is free of cost for retaining the data. But if you want to have beyond the 31 days, it is chargeable. And again, the same principle. It is pay per GB. More you store, the more the retention. For example, if you want to store it for 100 days or 10 years or 15 years, then you are going to get more charges. So all these things, this is for your infrastructure. Sometimes your organization might want to have different tools for your application performance monitoring. See, Azure Monitor can fulfill Azure resource level monitor and infrastructure monitor, but some customers will still not be happy with what you are getting on your Azure Monitor or the default tools. So you might, a lot of customers are using Dynatrace for application performance monitoring, April Lakes. Some customers are using Stackify. This is again very popular these days, especially if your application is Python or PHP or Ruby. This Stackify is very popular, and some customers, if I think they are using SolarWinds. Some customers, it is cheaper, okay, but then a lot of metrics might not be available up to the requirement. But if your applications are business to business application or business to consumer application, where you have a lot of network level integration, many customers are these days going for App Dynamics, which is a tool now owned by Cisco. Okay, this is also very, very powerful, and many customers have started using it. Dynamics. Okay, I can keep listing. And for security logs or event management, a lot of customers are using Splunk, where they get all the monitoring data. Instead of using log analytics workspace, some customers are accumulating the data and they are analyzing it using Splunk. Whereas Microsoft has provided log analytics workspace, which can be used as a alternate. But many customers, they are used to with collecting all the events and logs, and then they are used to do the analysis using Splunk. If they are doing it, you can also learn how you can do the Splunk tool. And when it comes to security, incident, and event management, we will talk about Azure Sentinel maybe tomorrow or in the next week, where how you can collect all the security events and incidents from your Azure account and how you can handle it. So there is a separate tool, and if you want to use some third-party tools for security, incident, and event management, you can also integrate with that. So that is where you go and configure the integration option, not only with your in inbuilt tools. You can also go and configure a security hub. You can also send it to third party event hubs, where you can send the monitoring data to external sources also. Okay, so always be on top of the cost. If you are a solutions architect, then whatever you are configuring in terms of notifications or health monitoring or alerts, you have to understand it. By default, all the default metrics are free. Any metrics that you go and add, see, default metrics, whatever is shown in the services. For example, if you go and okay, it is still loading. I don't know. There is a network glitch. So, for example, if you're talking about a virtual machine, see, if you go to here, you will get a lot of default metrics available in your monitoring section. Yeah. So, if you go here, you'll get default metrics that is listed by default, or not just here. If you go to overview, you have a monitoring section. So, whatever metrics that is being visible here, All these are free of cost: CPU utilization, VM availability, disk bytes, and so on. But if you want to add additional platform metrics or additional metrics, then they're all chargeable. You can keep adding it, but then for each of the metrics, each of the information gathering, additional space is needed. But this will not be very costly. The reason is it's all time bound. It's a time series database, and you can collect based on the time bound thing. This is comparatively very less cost. But if you want to increase the interval, as I showed you, by default you get 5-minute interval. But if you want to reduce it to 1-minute interval, the charge will be higher. And the more the granular, the more the price you have to pay for each of your logs. Okay, I think this question was already asked. By default, there is a 5-minute interval, and if you are changing it, if your granularity reduces, the data accumulation will be higher, price is higher. Okay, you can change it to, if you are changing it to 1 day, it will be much cheaper. So as I told you, activity log is free of cost for 33 months. And if you want to accumulate more than that, it is chargeable. And when you are going and configuring alerts for emails, I think for 1 lakh email, it is free if I'm not wrong. And for 1 lakh notification, it is again free. You can check that. Okay, and if you're configuring webhooks, or if you're sending SMS, so there is a limit for everything. Okay, so for a particular limit, for a specific number of events that are going to your ITSM tool, and a particular number of incidents that are getting generated, there is a free tier limit for every notification and alert. But beyond that, you have to pay for it. Go and check those things before you talk to the customer, because some customers will ask how much emails are free. I think 1 lakh email, 1 lakh notification, and then 1,000 events per ITSM connector. These are all free, and beyond that, you have to pay for it. But you can double check on those numbers. I recall it as 1 lakh, 1 lakh, and 1,000, but it might be different. So we will talk about the Azure Advisor tomorrow, where you will also get a lot of recommendations and insights. Any questions on today's topic? I know it's a vast topic, and if you are going to be part of a site reliability engineering team or a platform reliability engineering team, this is where you need to spend more time and focus to get better observability and monitoring information. Okay, take some time. Okay, not urgent. Okay, so just go through this recording again, and then if you have some queries or doubts based on the work that you're trying, okay, you can definitely come back and ask that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, then thank you. I'll stop the recording. Okay, we'll catch up